Hi, this is Carrie Burgraff, and today we'll be going over the Evidence-Based Intervention Description Form, or the EBI form. And this will be the first deliverable due for the continuation or the implementation grant. The EBI form will be due February 11th, and if you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out to the TA team. So when filling out the form, first you will have access to the downloadable fillable form. So for this presentation, I'm using a PDF just because it's a little bit cleaner, a little easier for presenting, but you will have the Microsoft Word version so you can fill it out. So don't worry about having to convert from a PDF. Anywhere where you see purple text is likely a place that your coalition will need to answer. We tried to make it pretty clear where each answer needs to be. There are a few places where you might have to put an X in a box or something similar to that, but for the most part, I think it's pretty self-explanatory as you go through to just respond to the prompts. So first, we're going to be asking everyone to denote which CDC strategy your coalition selected. This is the strategy you selected during the grant last year, and you had 5 options there, 5 out of the 7. So just put in an X on which one you selected, and also showing which CDC approach you also selected. So this one isn't something that you specifically selected like you did last year where, you saw it, you selected it based on your needs assessment. These approaches are pulled directly from the CDC technical package that was a great resource last year and that I'm sure we've all read or skimmed a few times over. So we pulled these out from there, and we're just asking, when you're thinking about your EBI, which approach fits best. So please only pick one in this category, and if you're having trouble identifying which one fits the best, feel free to reach out there as well. There's also more information on these in the CDC technical package, so if you want to go and kind of look through that, it's under the CDC strategy that you chose will be all of these different approaches depending on which basket they're under. So after you select both of those by checking the box, this is where you'll get into the description of what your evidence-based intervention is. So you've now selected your EBI with your coalition, and the next set of 10 questions will really just provide a description of that EBI. So each of these should be answered in 100 words or less, so we're not looking for pages upon pages of what this EBI is, but really just to give the reader a snapshot of what the intervention is, who the priority population is, how you're going to implement it, where you're going to implement it, how it'll be funded, those types of questions. So just follow the prompts and again, fill in where the purple text is. And after those 10 questions, we'll get into some of these questions about fit. So the first one is demonstrating a conceptual fit. And this is a good place to pull from that flash needs assessment that you completed during last year's grant process. So a lot of data that you pulled for that would be helpful here to really think about the conceptual fit with your community suicide prevention priorities. And note that this is about 250 words or less. So these are a little longer answers, but still certainly not, pages upon pages either. Next, we'll be asking you to demonstrate the practical fit. So this is your if-then proposition, and luckily you already have most of this one done. When the EBP approved your logic chains last year, you also submitted an if-then proposition. So really, it's just taking that from your approved materials from last year, but you need to insert your chosen evidence-based intervention. So I think that was the first line was left blank there. So just insert the one that you've chosen, and this one will be good to go, and you'll have your full if-then proposition. Next, you'll be demonstrating the cultural fit. This is another great time to look back at that flash needs assessment and think about how your selected EBI will align with the needs of your population. So what came out in that data. And there's a few questions here that might help as you write your answer, as you think about the prompt here. Next, we'll be looking at sustainability. So thinking about demonstrating a high likelihood that this could be sustainable within your community. A few things to think about here is your suicide prevention ecosystem that we discussed last year towards the end of the grant, and how that ecosystem will help and support and sustain this EBI. This is kind of brief, again, 250 words or less. So as you're thinking about it, you might consider time or money, resources, human resources as well, political support. But we will be revisiting sustainability more in July. So we'll have a learning community and a deliverable that fully encompasses sustainability. So this is kind of your snapshot. We know sustainability is incredibly important and involves much more than can be written in 250 words. So we will be revisiting this in July during our sustainability module. Next, we'll be working to demonstrate effectiveness. So this is kind of the real meat of the EBI form, and often the one that is sometimes hardest with suicide prevention interventions. We know that some of them don't have an extremely large evidence base yet, or aren't the gold standard necessarily that you might see with some substance abuse prevention interventions, and being in the federal registry or things like that. So this is a good place to kind of think about the evidence that your selected intervention will work. And when you're thinking about these things, it's a good thing to, consider why you selected this particular intervention. There could be all kinds of interventions out there. So thinking about why this one rose to the top, and where you found it as well. The third question is all about the evidence, so the evidence base, and we put a few things here to consider, but of course we know this one, your evidence could be something that feels a little bit less formal even than other interventions that you've implemented in the past for other areas. So just please be as descriptive as possible here, and include whatever evidence you use to make that that decision to use this intervention that was driven by data as well. And if you happen to have any supporting documentation on the effectiveness, please attach it when you turn in this form. So we know not everyone will have supporting documentation, but if you have anything available, please submit that as well. This will help the EBP work group when they're reviewing to just get a sense of what your coalition will be implementing, what the desired effect is, and what the documentation or evidence is that intervention will work. So that is the entire form. That's the end. It's just going on to page 4, but it's really about 3 pages of content, of fillable boxes there. This form, again, will be due February 11th, and you can turn it into any of the TA providers, but feel free to email it to me. My email is burgraff@ohio.edu. B as in boy, URGGRA, F as in Frank, @ohio.edu. And that email is also up on the website. There's an email button to request TA. So any of those ways, feel free to turn this in or to reach out if you have any questions in the meantime. Also, feel free to comment on the blog posts. Those are great places to connect with one another and also to ask other communities what questions they have or what experiences they have. Because often, as you're doing this work and you're sharing this journey together, you often are each other's best resource, and you are the experts in your community. So I encourage you to continue to reach out to one another and the TA team as needed. Also, you may see that evaluation was not included in the EBI form. For those of you that have done a description form before, you might be wondering where evaluation is, and it's a sneak peek into next module, but the next deliverable will include more on evaluation that will be moved to your theory of action. So when you're thinking about your action plan and your budget, we're really going to be focusing on evaluation and thinking about some of those metrics as well during that process. So don't feel like you have the wrong document or you're missing something. That will be coming soon. As always, reach out, and we're excited to get together here in February and discuss. Thank you.